Welcome back to episode 232 of the Japanese Vintage Car Hunt. And that number is not really significant. The first episode of the series was 231. We're technically on episode 2, but who wants to start at, 1? Let's just act like we've been around for a while and go to 232. Okay. I know I'm a bit silly as usual. Now, again, we're going to go back to South Florida for a couple reasons. One, I'm going to be living there soon, so theoretically I could go to these places, possibly buy these cars and feature them on the channel. And two, South Florida, not only are there a ton of examples because there are a lot of people down there, but the cars are very, very easily maintained to survive down there. Yes, they can have floods, hurricanes, but for the most part, compared to the things cars have to go through in the Midwest, it's almost impossible to find really, really nice 20, 30-year-old cars. So looking in South Florida, we're going to be avoiding things like rust unless it was a transplant, which there are quite a few of those, so you got to keep your eyes out. And just because it was a transplant doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have rust or frame rot or anything like that. I would say the biggest thing that we see from, damage by age down there is going to be damaged paint from the sun, because the sun is awfully strong in the south. And starting with vehicle number 1, this is an import from Japan. It's a 180SX. I guess very similar to the 240SX we got here in America. Has a smaller engine, but it's turbocharged with a lot more power. I think here in America, the inline 4, the 2.4 liter, had something like 140, 150 horsepower. This has about 200 horsepower. This is stock, by the way. The engine has not been modified in this 91 180SX. So let's just flip through the pictures. It's a beautiful car. I don't know what else to say about it. It is expensive, 16 grand for a 200 horsepower car. But guys, you wouldn't be buying this, at least most people who have 16K to drop on a 30-year-old car. Most of you guys would not be modifying it. Most of you would be keeping it. Now, this one's an automatic. I found that interesting. For me, immediately, I would not be in the market to buy this car because, of course, I would want a manual. And it's not 100% stock in the fact that the steering wheel looks changed out. And, of course, we have some sort of digital LCD in here to replace the old head unit. But mechanically, it seems to be unmolested. I love the old vintage seats. The interior is just so plain and basic from that era. Of course, you got the 2 seats in the back on this model. Looks like we might have some speakers back there, because if we look in the trunk in a little bit, you'll see an amplifier back there. But here's a small turbocharged 4-cylinder. The red top means, I think, 202 horsepower or so, and they made it from 1989 to 1994. I could be totally off on that because I'm not an expert on Nissans, but I did a quick little research before getting into this, and there's that amplifier I talked about earlier. Just a beautiful car. Again, right-hand drive from Japan. Next car, we'll stick with some Nissan for now. An 84 300ZX, only 73,000 miles, asking $4 grand for it, and it's in pretty good shape. One owner. Always garage, no rust. Guys, one owner from a vehicle, 1984? Are you kidding me? That's just ridiculous. All original, starts and runs well. Fuel injector recall done years ago. Needs a good tune-up. AC compressor not working. That's not really a surprise. Number 1757 out of 275,000 manufacturers. Call this car a slick top, 37 years old, in an amazing condition. So let's just flip around. It is not my favorite of the Z cars. It's probably my least favorite in terms of design, but it's a one owner, guys. I can't wrap my head around that. Again, this is an automatic as well, but still, this is a relic here that's been well maintained and just loved on throughout its ownership by one owner. I can't wrap my head around that. 1984, one owner, and they're selling it on Craigslist, or sorry, Facebook Marketplace right now in Boca Raton, Florida. This one's cool. You don't see a lot of Honda Civic hatchbacks that are unmodified, and it looks like this one is for the most part unmodified. This guy, he has a clean title to a 95 Civic CX model. All original down to the paint. Everything works. Thinking about raffling it fully original before he decides to build it. Then he says, is anyone interested? And I might have someone watching this that would be interested. And yeah, it is. It's one of my favorite Civics, the old hatchback that the newer hatchbacks don't have that same sort of character, you know. They're way more coupe-like, where this is more boxy, and I like the boxier hatchbacks of the Civics. Speaking of close to a Civic, we are at an Acura RSX. Rest in peace, RSX. This is an 02, and they matte blacked it out. Now they converted it to an 05, 06 RSX Type S. Cold AC, got different coilovers, TEIN coilovers. Don't want to butcher that. I'm not a tuner by any means. Stage 2 clutch, brand new door seals and window seals, new battery, fresh oil change, new tires. It's mint inside and out, fresh matte black paint, clean title, cash only. And yeah, again, this is $7,000. And just a really, really clean example here. So yes, I don't know what else to say about it. Of course, manual transmission. It's a beautiful car inside and out, and it would be fun to own. Just a great example of the no longer available RSX. This is my favorite one on the list today. We have a 99 Civic asking $4,000, and let's just go over the pictures. It's a 99 Civic, 4K, negotiable, so or best offer. It's got a red roof. They're only interested in serious buyers. They said if this is still up, it is still available. But yeah, just flipping through the pictures, it's so clean. I'm not a big fan of super modified vehicles. This one obviously has something done to it with the cold air intake. I don't know what else could have been done to it, but to me, at least on the outside, I love how true they've kept to the original vehicle there. Of course, the front bumper and the grille here look a little bit modified, but the rest of it looks really clean. The interior especially looks really, really clean here. It looks almost brand new. That cloth has held up really well. You see a little bit of fading here at the bottom. Of course, the manual transmission, even though it says automatic in the description, that might be throwing off some buyers or potential searchers of this car if they're looking for manual transmission only. If this is labeled as an automatic, maybe it doesn't come up in their search. But I think it's just a beautiful example here of a very nice Honda Civic from an era of where the Civics is. This was like the golden era of the Civics, the 90s. So speaking of super modified cars that I'm not a big fan of, but I felt like sharing this because you don't see a whole lot of GS 430s out there. This is the first generation GS 430. The first one to have a V8 was a GS 400. I think it was in 2001 or 2000. They switched to the second generation V8 GS, which is a GS 430. They put the 3U V8 in it, and 233,000 miles. This guy's asking for $5,500 for it. This thing is way too modified. I would never want to drop this much money on this much of a modified car. You can see the adaptable or the adjustable suspension there, and of course the cambered wheels are just obnoxious. But hey, it seems like it made this guy happy. He might need the money. I don't know. But I can't imagine what this would have cost to modify this GS like this. It's cool, but it's not something I would touch. But I felt like sharing. I mean, look at the interior. I mean, the seats are completely redone. Pretty crazy with the modifications on that GS 430. On the last Japanese vintage car hunt that we had, we saw a GS 400 that was in great condition, a great price. I think it was only like $4,600, completely stock. Man, that was delicious. And yes, 1988 Land Cruiser Sport Utility 4-wheel drive. This thing is peach. So cool. I would just want to take it off-road all the time. It's got an inline 6 in it, manual transmission, new tires. I don't know what else to say about it. It just looks cool. I want to take it on a safari or through the Everglades or something. It looks badass. What do you guys think? Would you want a 1988 Land Cruiser? Now, this is interesting. They put a speaker box on the roof here. This is not the floor. This is like a hard picture for me to understand. Here's the seats, the camo seats. Got a fishing pole tied to the roof. We'll see better in the next picture here. You see that fishing pole there. Just look how roomy and boxy that cabin is. You look at from the outside, and it doesn't look that big. Then you get in the inside, it's like you could almost live in this thing. But I just thought it was really cool. We don't see a whole lot of Land Cruisers here in the United States, especially from that era. Manual transmission, if I didn't mention that. And ooh, what was that? What was that? Costco? Maybe they got the tires at Costco. So yes, pretty darn cool. We're gonna head on to the next one here. 95 Tacoma, $4,400. What caught my attention on this, it has almost 300,000 miles on it. New alternator and battery, new shocks in the rear, all ball joints and CV axles replaced, new serpentine belts, new brake pads, replaced the valve cover gasket and spark plugs, new transmission filter and fluid. Tires only have 5K miles on them. Put a touchscreen radio in there. AC works great. Four-wheel drive works like it should. Wipers replaced a short time ago. Has plastic bed liner. Dash has no cracks. Headliner in real good shape. Amp and subs are separate transaction. That's fine. I don't need an amp and subs in this old pickup truck. It's got the 2.7 liter 4-cylinder in there. So, you know, not the V6, but hey, maybe that's a reason why it's lasted so long, is that four-cylinder is built very well, as well as are the Toyota V6s too. But yeah, that 4-cylinder racking up 300,000 miles on it. Just pretty cool. It has 1.5-inch spacers for the wheels and a 3-inch added to the wheelbase. Maybe that means to the lift. Maybe it has a 3-inch lift. I think that's what this means here. Kind of confusing. New door handles inside and out. Price is fair, $4,400 or best offer. Would you guys pay $4,400 for a Tacoma that has almost 300,000 miles? I would do it possibly just to see how many miles I could rack up on it. And I love the lift on it. I think it looks really cool. It has a nice long bed, so you could use it for towing, or not towing, but towing if you need to. Nothing that heavy with the 4-cylinder, but with that long bed, you could have you know, throw a bunch of crap back there. Next vehicle. Going luxury, an 03 Lexus GX, $8,700. I believe this is at a dealership, so might not be able to get the best price on it, but about 150,000 miles. They don't really have a whole lot of information on it, unfortunately. They want you to call them for the information. Big surprise, a dealership. So we're just going to flip through here and look at these pictures. This GX I thought looked pretty darn clean, especially on the inside once we get in there. The lenses have been taken care of. The paint looks pretty good. Whoa, what was that? Is the fog light out here? Yeah, so it looks like the fog light's missing down here, which it shouldn't be that hard or expensive to find a replacement. This interior, other than this armrest on the driver's side, the interior looks in really, really good condition. I love the GX 470, possibly like it even more than the GX 460. The problem with the GXs in my area is that they have frame rot. So typically when we see a GX 470 that's a little bit older, it might not even have that many miles on it, but they're susceptible to frame rot with the salt, the terrible weather conditions we have in the Midwest. But I thought this was a really good example. I believe in the rear, it has the drop-down DVD player. So you have, you know, climate control back here, and then you'll have remotes and maybe headphones as well in there. So I thought it was a pretty cool GX 470, one of my favorite Lexuses of all time. We'll finish with a Lexus. Last one on the list today, an 06 IS 250, only asking $3,900. It's got 150,000 miles, which is, if it's maintained, that's not that big of a deal on a V6 Lexus. 06 IS 250 runs and drives ice cold air conditioning, which is important in South Florida. What's not ideal about it is that it's black, so hopefully you have a garage to put it in. Otherwise, not only will it get super hot, but the paint will get abused by the Florida sun. Of course, automatic. I probably mentioned that already, but I don't think they even put manual transmissions in the second generation IS. Clean title. Actually, I might take that back. I think they put a manual transmission in the IS convertible, which was of the second generation. I could be wrong, so definitely fact check me. I know a lot about Lexus, but not everything. But I thought this was a really good example here of a very reasonable IS for a reasonable amount of money, $3,900. Now, this V6, it is smooth. The problem with this, and the reason why they don't have it anymore, is that this V6 is very underpowered. It only has about 200 horsepower. So they got rid of it, but you might be able to have fun in this car, do a little drifting. Typically, the IS 250s we see in the Midwest are the all-wheel drive, where obviously in the South are going to be the rear-wheel drive. So I thought that was cool. Might be a fun little drifting car for you. It looks like there's some paint fading here, and the rear bumper looks a little sketchy, but you could probably touch that up. But for $4,000, this would be an excellent car, either for a teenager, first car, second car, just a beater car. I don't even know. It's a really nice car for the money. And guys, I'll leave it there. Make sure you smash the like button if you enjoy the series where we look through and I find some least exciting to me, right? Everyone's different. You guys can definitely do your own searches and find things that are of interest to you, but I thought these were pretty cool examples. Subscribe if you want to see more of this. We'll come out with, you know, episode 233 or whatever next week. Again, that has no relevance to actually how many episodes I've made. And guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. We're so close to 100,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all the support you've given me. More reviews coming. I'm getting the Acura TLX, the brand new one, the 2021 redesign tomorrow for review. I just finished my review on the Acura MDX, so make sure to watch both of my videos on that, the driving impressions through the winter streets, as well as my full review. It was a lot of fun with that vehicle. And guys, in the next video, thank you for watching. Peace out.